I'm Terry Owens. On this edition of MTA Commuter Connections, we'll be joined by MTA Administrator Rollin Wells to discuss his latest plans to improve transit safety. We'll also tell you about a new security feature being tested on MTA buses. Join us for a ride on the number 15 and see how it works. And we'll get an update on the Red Line project and the important impact it's expected to have on our region. All that, plus your questions in our Ask the MTA segment. It's just ahead on this edition of MTA Commuter Connections. Welcome to MTA Commuter Connections. For this edition, we are on location at MTA's new Multimodal Central Control Center in Baltimore, which, when totally online, will be the nerve center for all MTA services in our region. From here, transit supervisors and management will direct and monitor buses, metro subway, light rail, and trains to keep MTA services operating safely. Of course, your safety and security are paramount to the MTA, the agency constantly looking for ways to enhance its performance. We'll talk with Administrator Rollin Wells in just a moment about his latest initiatives, but first, a look at a pilot program to make the system safer for passengers and employees. With bus operator assaults on the rise across the country, the Maryland Transit Administration is one of a number of transit agencies searching for new ways to enhance the safety of its operators. David Varner is head of MTA's bus maintenance.
One thing we're trying is different types of driver compartment doors, just to offer the operator some form of protection.
The new compartment door would replace existing equipment that is approximately half the size and optional for drivers. With its larger base and glass panel, the new door effectively shields the operator from a possible attack while still providing clear lines of sight and the ability for operators to communicate with passengers. During the pilot phase, the agency is actively soliciting input from drivers.
We'll put it on the bus, we'll pick certain lines, certain operators, and get feedback.
Most passengers seem to barely notice the new compartment door, boarding the bus, paying their fare as usual, and grateful to find a seat on the busy number 15 line.
I think it's a good idea, considering the controversy that they have to go through on a day-to-day basis.
You still can get on and pay your fare easily. It's added safety for him, for sure.
When I noticed the protective glass by the driver, which I think is a very good idea.
Local bus officials say if the new compartment doors are approved, it would take about 6 months to begin installation. Longtime MTA passenger Monica Bates says the operators deserve all the support they can get.
It's difficult for them. It's very difficult. You know, they really shouldn't have to be on the defensive all the time. You know, they should be able to just, do their job, and not go home with a headache every day.
Of course, the person responsible for ensuring that safety and security remain front and center at the MTA is the MTA Administrator, Rollin Wells. Mr. Wells, welcome back to Commuter Connections.
Thank you very much. Good to
there are any number of initiatives underway here at the agency right now, but I want to focus on one that you've launched that is sort of an umbrella for everything that you're doing, and that's the Service Safety Task Force. Tell us about this initiative and how it came about.
Yeah, amongst a number of concerns about safety around the country and transit in general, we launched the Service Safety Task Force just to examine everything that we do to make sure that we're keeping our passengers and our operators and our equipment as safe as possible when they're in service. So this task force is going to examine all our processes that we already have in place and also look at best practices to see whether we should be implementing some of those as well.
Tell us about the makeup of this group.
Yeah, this group is a diverse. We have external stakeholders as well. We have Baltimore City, we have the school police, we have our safety department, we have various departments within MTA. So that way we have a big brain trust to talk about everything. We even have our scheduling department in there in case there's some issues with the schedules that may impact the operation of the service.
You referenced the external stakeholders and their involvement in this process. Why was that important to you?
Well, because everyone is impacted by our service, and we want to make sure that our external stakeholders have a mouthpiece at the table to discuss some of the concerns and also maybe talk about how the service might have an implication on what they do as well. because we do move the city and we have city schools involved in this as well.
So you've charged these guys with reviewing every aspect of the agency from a safety perspective, and they're going to produce a report or something at the end?
Yeah, the hope is that it's going to be an ongoing process, but we will have an initial report. We'll look at that report and make some determinations as to what we can put in place right away. And then as we go, we might have to make modifications of our service plans as we go.
We are seeing issues around the country, as you referenced, and that necessitated the creation of something like this. Give us a sense of some of the challenges that transit properties are encountering.
Well, part of the problem we have right now is we have operator assaults going on, and we also have escalation from the passengers to the operators or both ways. So we want to just make sure that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that that doesn't happen, because our operators are definitely public servants. They're here to serve the community. They enjoy their jobs, but they're not here to be assaulted while they're doing their jobs. They're just enforcing the rules of the service. And as well, we want to make sure that our other passengers have a safe ride and a pleasant experience. We don't want to have altercations through the process of service delivery.
Okay, one of the other initiatives that we just took a look at was the new effort with the new safety or bus compartment doors. Talk about that piece and where you see that going.
Yeah, that's interesting. We see a number of transit properties going to that. They have different types of doors, different styles, different compartments or enclosures, if you will. We are examining multiple different types of enclosures to see which one works best for us. We want to make sure that our operators are safe from potential assaults and potential debris that might be thrown at them. Unfortunately, that's something we have to look at nowadays. But we are examining that. We want to make sure we still have that customer communication and that friendly contact, but we also want to make sure that our operators stay safe.
What kind of feedback have you heard so far?
So far, the operators really like them. They really do. And it's funny because I've seen this position evolve over the years. I mean, at first, no one wanted enclosures at all. But now they're looking for more enclosures to keep them safe because of the unfortunate incidents that have been occurring.
And as a former bus operator, you have watched these evolutions, if you will.
I've watched it evolve, that's correct.
Yeah. Well, I'd be remiss if I'd let you get away from here before having you say something about this beautiful facility that we're standing in. I know this has been a dream of yours. Talk about
I tell you, Terry, I can't tell you how happy I am to see this actually come to fruition. I mean, when I first came to MTA over 20 years ago, I heard this being discussed.
Oh my goodness.
At that time, it would require a much larger facility in order to do that because the equipment had to be so large in order to operate. But now we have flat screen monitors that you can operate an entire main line of a system from that monitor. So we were able to put everybody in one room so we can have, I always say, one band, one sound. We have that synergy here now where we have the bus and the rail people working together. We also have our communication center that can make announcements in case things happen. We have state-of-the-art technology that have health monitoring systems in here so we can forecast when a system might fail and we can send crews there before it actually fails. So I'm really excited that this is coming to a fruition.
So this speaks to that whole initiative around safety because you get everybody in the same room. It allows you to respond a lot quicker.
Absolutely. Service delivery is going to be better. Passenger communications will be better. Our response to incidents will be better. So I think overall the service is going to be much better as a result of this synergy, if you will.
Now this is going to come online in phases, I understand?
That's correct. Metro will be moving in sometime very shortly, and then in future, then the bus department, and then we'll have Mark move in as well. So we'll continue to add more people who are responsible for the operation of our service.
This is a major development for the MTA.
Major development, and it's something that we also see other transit agencies trying to do. So we're on the front end of this.
Administrator Wells, we're always delighted whenever you can make time for us. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll take a break here. There's much more ahead. Up next, MTA police are playing a key role in the administration's new safety initiative. When we return, how the department is working to safeguard the system. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment.
explore new worlds. Read. Visit literacy.gov and let the journey begin.
Welcome back to Commuter Connections. MTA Police will play a central role in any effort to safeguard the system. Recently, the department staged a high-profile operation with 2 other agencies designed to crack down on a problem plaguing transit systems across the country. It was a loud and clear message. Local law enforcement, led by the MTA Police, cracking down on the thefts of electronic devices on MTA buses. Frank Anderson witnessed a robbery and understands the problem police are trying to tackle.
I was up there on the 22 bus stop coming from Mondawmin, and a girl got her phone stolen. She was on the bus when it happened, and they got off at the back door.
The 3-day operation involved uniformed officers from the MTA, Baltimore City, and Baltimore School Police. The officers performed hundreds of bus stop checks at 12 separate locations covering 18 local bus routes. Officers boarded buses, warned customers displaying electronic devices, and cited others for infractions such as eating or drinking.
I think it's an excellent idea. That makes a person feel more safer because something's being done about it.
Naja Gaskins says she doesn't take any chances.
I just keep mine in my pocket, just in case something may happen.
This is the latest in a series of efforts by MTA Police to address a problem that police agencies across the country are grappling with.
I feel like if they really need a cell phone that bad, when they see them free vans and buses giving out phones, they need to go get one.
In the meantime, police say they plan to keep up their efforts. And joining us now to discuss the issue of passenger and bus operator safety is Chief Safety Officer Bernadette Bridges and MTA bus operator Andrew DuBose. Both are members of the Administrator's Service Safety Task Force. Welcome to Commuter Connections.
Thank you.
Chief, let me start with you. You have been tapped to head this task force. What were your marching orders?
Well, all my marching orders were to look at all the assaults that were happening around the country, but also specifically in an MTA. We had a couple of operator assaults that went nationally on CNN News, and some other properties around the country the same. The administrator was very concerned about the operators, being assaulted, and vice versa, customers as well.
From your perspective, why is it important to have those external stakeholders at the table as you're coming up with what may become new policy or ideas to try and enhance the way we're protecting both passengers and our employees?
Well, we feel like the stakeholders, they're in the environment, we're integrating our buses into their environment, and maybe some things that they see or know that we don't know about, so we feel like we can bring them to the table and hear what they have to say, because we're picking up students at schools, our buses go to schools, sometimes we have assaults at schools as well. So if we bring everybody at the table in the beginning, we can address those issues together and come out with some good results.
Okay, Mr. DuBose, you are on the front line as a bus operator. You know exactly what's going on out there. When approached about this idea of joining this task force, what went through your mind first off?
Oh, it was a great idea. I was happy that they came up with a product that engineered to protect drivers.
Give us a sense of what you're seeing out there. You work the environment. How long have you been a bus operator?
For 18 years.
18 years you've been with the service?
Yes.
Okay. And this idea to become a bus operator, where did that come from for you?
I just wanted to serve the community. I enjoy working with the public. So I was happy to join the MTA.
Give us a sense from your perspective of some of what this task force can do to help make your job easier.
It do a lot. It can help in terms of getting a handle on things, how situations handle with safety. The new barrier that's coming with dealing with the operators. Safe. We're safe. The passengers are safe. They feel safe when they, because we're like the pilot of the bus.
Exactly.
So we're safe. They feel safe driving with us.
You've had a chance to see the new driver compartment doors. What was your impression?
It was basically a dream come true for mainly a lot of drivers. Mainly, it's installed from the platform up. It totally encloses you in, so it keeps you from a direct assault on the driver, or someone probably hitting you or throwing something at you.
Yeah, it's sad that these are things that we have to consider and be mindful of, but it is the world that we live in, and so what the agency can do to try and safeguard employees, I'm sure after they've had a chance to review this may be somewhere we're going. Chief, as you move forward with this process, when do you anticipate having something to put out to the public or perhaps to the administration as it relates to initiatives?
We hope that we would have a draft report around June, but we've already taken some initiatives early on, as we just talked about the bus operator compartment, which is new and it's actually being piloted right now on various lines, and we're getting some good feedback. Some of the other things we've done is looked at our procedures. We developed some new procedures in a brochure for operators so that if they come into a situation. So the task force actually has developed that, and that has been one of the action items that's already been completed for the task force. We've actually, doing this TV show for us is great because our customers get to know and understand what we're doing, but the customers also have a responsibility, you know, when they're riding our service. If they need to think about if it was one of their family members or someone, their mother or father riding an MTA service and people disrupting the service. So we want them to be mindful of paying attention to the rules and procedures of using our service as well. It just helps all of us get safely to our destination. So it's important for them to follow the rules of riding transit as well.
And remember, if you see something, say something.
Of course, yes. Yes.
All right, Chief, Mr. DuBose, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. We'll take a quick break here, but there is much more ahead. Up next, Central Maryland's Red Line and the positive impact it's expected to have on our region. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment.
See something suspicious, but you don't want to get involved. It's nothing, you think. Can you be sure? If you see something, say something. Report suspicious activity to local authorities.
The proposed Central Maryland Red Line is a bit closer to reality. The project has cleared another major milestone with the Federal Transit Administration. And here to tell us what it all means is Henry Kay, Executive Director of Transit Development and Delivery. Henry, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here.
This was exciting news. We keep clearing these hurdles, and for folks who haven't been keeping up with the project, I guess, let's start with a bit of what it is first off.
Sure, the Red Line is one of the biggest initiatives MTA has going on now. We've been working on it, very hard for almost a decade now, and it's in our sights. But what it is, it's a 14-mile light rail line. It would go from east to west across the region. So you'd be able to get on a train out near Security Square Mall in Woodlawn and ride all the way through the Route 40 corridor downtown, out through the east side, and end up at Bayview Hospital. So partially on the surface, like our existing light rail line, partly in a tunnel, like our existing metro. So we're trying to come up with something that kind of uses the best of both those systems and creates a rail line for the future of the region.
Okay, now we're going to get technical for just a bit here. We've got to talk about this record of decision and what exactly that means for the project.
Yeah, record of decision is the term that's established in federal environmental law. It's the way that at the end of the day, the federal environmental agencies sign off on the project. So probably a way to think about it, this is final environmental approval for the project. So it came as a result of years of analysis that we did. We published it in a series of documents. The last one came out in December of 2012 called the Final Environmental Impact Statement. And that was a very meticulous description of the project itself and all the kinds of both human and natural impacts that would occur as a result of it.
So not a done deal, but a major step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's far from a done deal, I'm sorry to say. The Red Line is a very ambitious project. It's going to have to be fully funded. It's going to have to be constructed, and it'll be a number of years before we can really expect to see it in service. I mean, right now we're scheduled to be in service in early 2021, so you have to be a little bit patient to sort of think in those time frames. But we have a lot to do in the meantime.
Now, we recently heard an announcement about a partnership that the MTA formed with the Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation that would have to do with jobs that this project is expected to create. Tell us about that.
Yeah, a project that's as big as the Red Line, is going to create a lot of jobs, and that's a very important benefit of the project that, the region has always expected to see. So people have to build it, and someday people have to operate it. And so we have, in addition to all the other aspects of planning the project, had to focus on what kinds of job opportunities might exist. And in order to make sure that happens, we've entered into this partnership with a sister state agency, the Department of Labor, Licensing and Regulation, because they're the people who really have the resources to identify candidates, to train them, and to get ready for the jobs that will result when we actually bring contractors on board to build and, as I say, someday operate the line. So we have we've locked them down in a relationship. We'll work together. We'll bring our specific needs to the table. They'll bring the training resources they have, and hopefully we'll be able to feed people into them who or will get those jobs at the end of the day.
And these kinds of relationships say that we are just getting closer to bringing this thing to reality.
That's right. These are all the things that we have to do to make this happen. I mean, we have to design the project. We have to, as we said, get environmental approvals. We have to find funding for the project. We have to show these designs to the public. We have to establish relationships with entities like the Department of Labor and Licensing and Regulation, with BG&E, with park agencies, with the State Highway Administration, because there's just a lot of details that have to be resolved behind the scenes before we can break ground on something like that.
Well, we are looking forward to the day that the first shovel hits the ground and we can say it is a reality.
Thank you, me too.
All right, Henry Kay, thank you so much for coming in.
Glad to be here.
You're going to appreciate this next story as a planner. I know this is something you love. On first thought, you may not think of transit or perhaps the subway as a place to enjoy fine art, but that's exactly what you'll find in MTA metro stations. Today, we focus on the amazing work of Romare Bearden that graces the Upton Metro Station.
Good morning, honey, you old gloomy sight.
It is the kind of public art that often goes unnoticed. Housed at the Upton Avenue Metro Station, where thousands of commuters travel daily, sits a 14 by 46 Venetian glass mural done by the internationally renowned artist Romare Bearden.
I think it's one of Baltimore's best kept secrets, actually, that there's a Bearden mural at the Upton station.
The mural was one of a number of artworks commissioned by the Maryland Transit Administration. It's called Baltimore Uproar and features the legendary jazz singer and Baltimore native Billie Holiday.
It's colorful. I like that blue, the guy on the keyboards. So when you're just getting off of here, wow, you see, yeah, right. That's it.
Michelle Wilkinson is Director of Collections and Exhibitions at the Reginald Lewis Museum.
By having commissions for public art in city spaces like a metro station, it really causes us to look even differently beyond the piece of art that we're looking at. It causes us to look internally, and it also causes us to notice other things outside and pay attention to them.
Wilkinson says Bearden began his career as a painter, but is best known for his collages. While the unveiling of the Bearden mural took place nearly 31 years ago, Holiday and the scene from Baltimore's Black Heyday continues to resonate in the Pennsylvania Avenue community.
I know she used to be on the Avenue because I'm from the 60s. I remember from being down there, like Red Fox, different folks like them used to come down there because we used to have a bar down here. They used to call it Star Palace years ago.
Bearden's body of work was recently celebrated as the art world marked the 100th anniversary of his birth. The artist, who also worked for the Afro-American newspapers, left Baltimore what many feel is an invaluable treasure.
People walk by and they might, see the woman singing or see the musicians playing and feel something but not really know. This is a great legacy and a great treasure right here in Baltimore, created by one of the most, influential artists of the 20th century.
You're supposed to hold your head high for who you are, So it transcends, and I think, 20 years from now, that picture will be still there, and people will still feel something.
Mom, can we get some ice cream? Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
I'm Ronald Rochester of the MTA Service Quality Division. Here's our first Ask the MTA question.
My name is Angela Edges, and I am from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'd like to know what is the problem with the light rail cars between 7 o'clock and 7:30 in the morning going northbound. It has been many times I have observed that there are at least 2 or 3 cars traveling southbound, but only one has come northbound.
During the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., our service runs on a 10-minute headway. Our service runs every 10 minutes, north and southbound. That particular day, something might have been going on, and we would have definitely made announcements for our patrons through our new PA system. Next question.
I think the MTA should use the speaker more to let the people know what's happening there, and so that people should know what's happening, and so that they sometimes, if they need to, stay a little bit longer, though the people should make decision. They can take the taxi, or they just wait here, and at least the MTA should let the people know how much longer it's gonna take to get the light rail here.
Our communications department, which is a new department that we have, pride themselves on making announcements as soon as they get the service delay from either Metro Control or Light Rail Control. So what we do is, as soon as the communications department gets that announcement that there is a delay, they make the announcement and we advise our public on what's going on. Next question.
James Clyde from Mount Washington, Maryland. Is there a reason why we have a light rail that stops at North Avenue and not go all the way downtown?
Some of the light rail trains only go to North Avenue because the operator is either scheduled to end their day or to go on lunch to start their next assignment. So we try to service our public by getting them at least to North Avenue so they can catch a connecting service to continue their trip. We appreciate your questions. If you have a question you'd like to ask the MTA, visit the MTA website at mta.maryland.gov for a convenient TV show link, or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.
And that is going to do it for this edition of MTA Commuter Connections. Thanks to all of our guests, and thanks to you at home for watching. I'm Terry Owens. We'll see you next time.